Hello, good people. This is Avril Hatala, and today's Inward Portrait is all about Lynn Whitfield. Lynn Butler Smith was born on February the 15th, 1953, in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. She is a self-professed daughter of Baton Rouge. She does have a Creole air about her, almost like you can feel yourself being transported back through time just from being around her to a 1970s Baton Rouge, where hair pressing and dressing making and church bake sales were a part of her everyday life. Lynn's mother, Jean, or Nay Butler, was an officer of a finance agency, and her father, Valerian Smith, was a dentist. Lynn Whitfield is an honorary member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, just like her mother. When Lynn was 4 and 5 years old, she would sneak and watch old movies with her grandmother, Estelle Duval, who was a Creole woman, and they would stay up way past Lynn's bedtime, watching actresses such as Dorothy Dandridge, Nina Simone, Ruby Dee, Marilyn Monroe, Audrey Hepburn, and Betty Davis. This planted a seed in Lynn, and it grew into her ambition of becoming an actress. Lynn has a deep connection with Howard University. She's a third-generation alumni. Both sets of her grandparents went to Howard, and her mother and father met at Howard. Howard University is where Lynn got her education and where she met her acting coach, Vera Katz, who was also the acting coach for Felicia Rashad, another Howard alumni. Side note, Felicia Rashad was appointed Dean of the Chadwick A. Boseman College of Fine Arts at Howard University in May of 2021. The DC Black repertoire was Lynn's entree into getting her acting feet wet. She was able to hone in her skills by performing at various venues around Washington, D.C.
The DC Black Repertory Company located at that time?
We were located on Georgia Avenue and Farragut Street, right down from Howard University, but in the black community, which is where I wanted to be. It was Lynn Whitfield. Many more actors came, famous actors, came through the Negro Ensemble Company, but a lot of them came through the DC Black Repertory Company.
Now, during her time at Howard University, she lived on the same block where Marvin Gaye's family home was located, on 15th and Barnabas, although his family moved to Los Angeles years prior. Lynn's first husband was Ventil Whitfield, a Haitian Creole man. The pair got married in 1974, and it lasted until 1978. She was a vivacious 21-year-old. Ventil was the founding artistic director of Studio West and was enlisted by Robert Hooks of the DC Black Repertory Company.
And Ventil Whitfield, who I had brought in from the National Endowment for the Arts, who is also a Washington, D.C. guy, who was my artistic director, so I brought him in.
This is where he and Lynn met. Ventil was also an alumni of Howard University, and he was 23 years her senior. Lynn had ease with furthering herself and attaching herself to the right people, like many smart women of her generation. Lynn's career started in 1977. However, in 1981, she went to Hollywood to act in a play for colored girls who considered suicide when the rainbow isn't enough.
Grown. And we running Negro. All of a sudden, you, Linda, went crazy.
Ooh, went over to Eddie, cursing and carrying on.
Tearing his skin out with a nail.
The cousins tried to talk sense to her, tried to hold her arms.
Listen, bitch, Sammy went on.
Oh, Bobby whispered,
And that's when she got noticed. While finishing a performance one night, she was scouted by Columbia Studios. It was on from there. She was groomed to be a professional actress. She was signed to Columbia Studios as a contract actress. Her first film was Dr. Dubrow, where she got to dance with James Brown. It was at this time when Lynn needed love and support at home, but her marriage to Ventil ended, leaving Lynn alone. just as she was to embark on a scary, exciting, once-in-a-lifetime trip to the top of her acting career as a new actress in theater and in Hollywood. Lynn was a Christian. She also had a lot of spiritual aspects about her, where she would carry the energy of the rose quartz with her. And it must have worked because she landed the biggest movie of her career at the time. Josephine Baker movie starring Lynn as Josephine. The director, Brian Gibson, was a UK-born man that immediately appreciated Lynn's capabilities. Brian and Lynn fell in love and married in 1990 after filming Wrapped. He was a Buddhist and played a major role in Lynn's decision to get pregnant, just as her star was rising. It turned out to be a decision that Lynn was not overly enthusiastic about. It took years after baby Grace was born for Lynn to understand the gift and timing that having her daughter Grace would mean to her. The role that most affected Lynn's career was her 1991 movie Josephine Baker, because in many ways Josephine put her life on hold, and so did Lynn. She put her life on hold when she had her child Grace. Lynn won a Golden Globe and was nominated for an Emmy for her performance as Josephine Baker. She accepted the award 3 weeks after giving birth, and of course she looked stunning, with husband Brian standing next to her. Sadly, their marriage ended shortly afterwards in 1992. Lynn is proud and grateful that she was able to work on projects that brought characters to life, and that her performance was able to stick with people. In 1997, Lynn Whitfield played a Baton Rouge beautiful housewife in the critically acclaimed movie Eve's Bayou. This cult classic featured Samuel L. Jackson and a very young Megan Good. By the way, if you haven't already watched the Inward Portrait on Megan Good, you should do so after this. It's really good. Lynn Whitfield has played the mother of Raven-Symoné's character on the TV show Cheetah Girls in 2003. Lynn took up salsa dancing at one point because she said it's the perfect mixture of man and woman. In this way, she is sensual and desirable. At the age of 70, Lynn Whitfield has a lot to say. She's making up for the lost years of her career. In her interviews, she is passionate and explains things and gives detail, almost like she's auditioning herself to be loved again. But the truth is, she was always in our hearts, just not on the screen.
Because I love design, and sometimes I get something in my mind, but you can't find it in the store. So I wanted to make a holiday skirt, right? An autumn skirt. And I was walking, trying to find these appliques, but everything was so small and fussy. And I landed on these amazing tabletop pieces that people use to decorate their tables. And I said, oh my God, that's the kind of drama that I want. And I actually had my sewing lesson, as you saw, and I had a seamstress who's so good walk me through it. And you know what? I feel really pretty in it. I think it's like a lot of fun. And festive. So there you have my first design. I would say this would be my runway collection, and then I'm going to get to some more practical skirts later on. Happy holidays, everybody.
She is a diva and will tell you so in her loving and matter-of-factual tone. There is such a sharp warmth in her tone and in her mannerisms that she can chop it up with any generation, from an Oprah to a Raven-Symoné. An overwhelmingly majority of people believe that Lynn Whitfield's characters in almost all the movies she's played were either mean or really wealthy. Lynn Whitfield has played many roles, but she's never played broke. She admitted during a 2021 interview on The Breakfast Club that she has a temper and that she can't take too much crap, which is just fine because as far as I'm concerned, it's the Baton Rouge in her. Today, Lynn is feeling fresh and spirited, and yes, she is single and available. Lynn played Lady May on the OWN's TV series Greenleaf. The show had 5 seasons from 2016 to 2021. This is Lynn's second time working with Oprah. The first time was their on-screen performance in The Women of Brewster's Place in 1986. This go-around, Lynn and Oprah act as estranged sisters with a bad past. Greenleaf was an introduction of Lynn to the younger generations and a return back for older audiences that are all too familiar with the strength and elegance that embodies every character Lynn has performed. Lynn does not embrace the label icon because she said there's still so much more she wants to do. I wouldn't necessarily put Lynn in the same category as the mom of Black Hollywood. That role is reserved for Jennifer Lewis. Instead, Lynn is on the level of Angela Bassett and Kerry Washington. She also should not be characterized as a villain or mean, because that role is more suited for Taraji P. Henson or Gabrielle Union. Instead, she should be known for being wealthy, old Southern, proper, that can read you oh so elegantly. Lynn has a huge collection of fedoras, and because of that, she feels most comfortable with her hair pulled back in a ponytail. Growing up, she was told that it's all about her face and not to cover it with hair. She has embraced her natural hair and refrains from using chemical treatments. Growing up, Lynn really admired Angela Davis's hair and the way she wore it. At one point, Angela started wearing a severe bob for over 6 years. She felt like a slave to wigs and weaves and hair pieces, and it has been a long road to let go of her own hair woes. Lynn currently lives in Atlanta, Georgia, in her home that she has purchased in 2019. Lynn loves to cook. She particularly loves to cook Creole dishes for her holidays and her big family, with her best dishes being pralines, gumbo, and her gravy is delectable. She and daughter Grace have a ball together, attending industry events, and Lynn playing the best role yet as the proud mother of an actress and magician. Thank you, Lynn, and we are still watching you shine. Hello good people, this is Avril Hatala, and I want to remind you that some things being shared in this video is under the Fair Use Copyright Act of 1976. The comments and opinion in this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only.